My wife thought I'd agree to her hall pass with a coworker. Instead, I kicked her out, filed for divorce, and left her with nothing. My name's Brody. I'm 34, work as an aerospace engineer specializing in propulsion systems. Been married to Bertie for 7 years. Or I should say, was married. The papers get finalized next week. Let me take you back 3 months. Bertie works in pharmaceutical sales. Good money, lots of client dinners, conferences, the whole 9 yards. Around January, she started changing. New workout routine at 5 a.m. Suddenly needed designer clothes for important client meetings. Her phone became surgically attached to her hand, screen always tilted away from me. I'm not stupid. I design systems that have to work perfectly at 30,000 feet. I notice when patterns change. But I didn't say anything. I watched. I documented. Every late night. Every sudden work emergency. Every time she'd smile at her phone and quickly put it away when I walked in. Then came February 15th. The day after Valentine's Day. Funny how she picked that day, like she'd given me one last traditional romantic holiday before blowing everything up. She sat me down after dinner. Had this whole speech prepared. I could tell she'd rehearsed it. Brody, I've been thinking about our marriage, she started. We've been together so long, and I feel like we're both stuck. Like we're roommates more than lovers. I just looked at her. Didn't interrupt. Let her hang herself with her own words. There's this concept I've been reading about. Ethical non-monogamy. Hall passes. It could actually strengthen our marriage if we're mature about it. There it was. The pitch. There's someone at work, she continued, gaining confidence from my silence. Nolan. He's with the commercial real estate firm we partner with. Nothing's happened, but there's chemistry. I think exploring that safely could help me appreciate what we have more. She actually used the word safely. Like she was asking to try a new F. King restaurant. I stayed quiet for maybe 30 seconds. Long enough for her to start fidgeting. Then I asked one question. How long have you been planning this conversation? She blinked. What do you mean? How long, Bertie? How long have you been thinking about F. King Nolan while coming home to me? The mask slipped for just a second. It's not like that. Answer the question. Maybe. 2 months. 2 months. 2 months of her laying groundwork, building up courage, probably already emotionally cheating if not physically. 2 months of looking at me like I was some pathetic safety net who'd catch her when her little adventure was over. I nodded. Stood up. I need to think about this. She actually looked relieved. Of course. Take all the time you need. We can set boundaries, rules. Bertie. I cut her off. Go to bed. I'll sleep in the guest room tonight. That was the last real conversation we had as husband and wife. See, what Bertie didn't know was that I'd already been preparing. Her phone? I'd cloned it weeks ago. Legal in our state if you're on the same family plan. Every text, every photo, every deleted message, I had it all. Nolan wasn't just chemistry. They'd been sexting for 6 weeks. She'd sent him NDS from our bedroom while I was downstairs making dinner. He'd been coaching her on how to propose this arrangement to me. His exact words, "Your husband seems like a beta. He'll probably thank you for being honest." Beta. Mother F. Kerr called me a beta. But the real kicker? The thing that turned disappointment into rage? I found her emails to a divorce attorney. Dated January 3rd. She was already planning her exit strategy. The hall pass wasn't about strengthening our marriage. It was about getting permission to F around while she got her ducks in a row to leave me. She wanted to test drive Nolan with my blessing, keep me as a backup plan, then divorce me when she was sure he'd commit. I spent that night in the guest room making my own plans. First call, Reed, my brother. Criminal defense attorney, but he knows everyone in family law. Need a divorce lawyer, I told him. The best you know. What did she do? Enough. He gave me 3 names. I called all 3 that night. Retained the most ruthless one by morning. Second, finances. We had joint accounts, joint investments, joint everything. But the house? That was mine. Inherited from my grandmother, never put Bertie's name on it despite her asking multiple times. Thank F for that. I moved fast. Liquidated my portion of our joint investments, completely legal since they weren't retirement accounts. Moved my direct deposit to a new bank. Cancelled every credit card where I was the primary holder. All within 48 hours. Third, evidence. I documented everything. The texts. The NDS. But then I found something even better. Bertie had been giving Nolan pharmaceutical samples. Controlled substances, samples that were supposed to be documented and distributed only to licensed physicians. That's a federal offense. Career ending for someone in pharmaceutical sales. I sat on that information. Waited. Bertie, meanwhile, thought she'd won. She started scheduling her date night with Nolan for February 24th. Even asked if I'd be okay staying home that Friday night. Of course, I told her. Take your time. She actually kissed me on the cheek. Like I was her F-King brother. February 24th came. She spent 2 hours getting ready. New lingerie I found the receipt for. Perfume I'd bought her for Christmas. She looked beautiful, and for a moment, just a moment, I remembered why I'd fallen in love with her. Then she grabbed her keys and said, "Don't wait up." The door closed at 7:47 p.m. The moving truck arrived at 8:15 p.m. I'd taken the day off work. Spent it packing everything that was mine. Everything I'd bought. Everything I'd inherited. Everything that wasn't explicitly hers. The movers were efficient. Professional. By 10:30 p.m., the house looked like a staged property for sale. I left her clothes. Her jewelry. Her personal items. But the furniture? Mine. The electronics? Mine. The kitchen appliances? Wedding gifts for my family, so mine. Even took the F-King shower curtains. At 11 p.m., I changed the locks. Legal because it was my house. She was never on the deed. At 11:30 p.m., I sent an email to her HR department. Attached were screenshots of her texts admitting to distributing pharmaceutical samples to an unlicensed individual. CC'd the DEA's tip line for good measure. At midnight, I filed for divorce electronically. Papers would be served at her office Monday morning. Then I went to Reed's house and turned off my phone. She came home at 2 a.m. to a dark house. Her key didn't work. Her garage door opener, disabled. Found her suitcases on the porch with a printed note. Your hall pass has been revoked. Your belongings are outside. The locks have been changed. Do not attempt to enter my property. Your attorney will be in contact. The meltdown was spectacular. I know because she went nuclear on social media. Posted about being abandoned and abused. How I'd thrown her out in the middle of the night. How I was controlling and vindictive. Nobody bought it. Especially not after I posted my own update, a simple screenshot of her text to Nolan saying, "My husband agreed to the hall pass. Can't wait for Friday. Already planning how to spend half his money when I divorce him later." Monday came. She was served at 9 a.m. in the middle of a sales meeting. By noon, she was suspended pending investigation into the pharmaceutical samples. By 5 p.m., Nolan had blocked her on everything. Turns out his firm had a morality clause, and he couldn't afford to be associated with someone under federal investigation. The divorce was brutal. She tried to claim the house was marital property. Judge laughed at that. Tried to claim abandonment. My lawyer presented the hall pass texts as evidence of her abandoning the marriage first. Tried to claim emotional distress. Hard to argue when she was the one who'd been planning to leave. In the end, she got exactly what she brought into the marriage. Her car. Her student loans. Her clothes. And a reputation that followed her everywhere. Last I heard, she was living with her sister Tessa, working retail at a department store. Nolan? Married some other woman 6 months later. Probably doesn't even remember Bertie's name. Me? I'm in my house. My account's intact. My reputation solid. My self-respect preserved. She thought I was weak. Thought I'd beg. Thought I'd fight for someone who was already halfway out the door. Instead, I helped her the rest of the way out and locked it behind her. The opposite of love isn't hate. It's indifference. And I've never been more indifferent to someone who once meant everything to me. Update 1. Lot of people asking for updates. Here's where things stand. Bertie lawyered up. Some budget attorney who took her case on payment plan. Guy showed up to the first meeting looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. Can't blame him. Her case is SHT. My attorney, Patricia, is worth every penny. She came to that meeting with a F-King PowerPoint presentation. Slides of text messages. Timeline of Bertie's affair. Financial records showing Bertie had opened a separate account and was siphoning money. Even had a private investigator's report showing Bertie and Nolan at a hotel 6 weeks before her hall pass conversation. Yeah. She'd already F-K'd him. The hall pass was retroactive permission. Patricia's last slide was my favorite. Title, Attempted Financial Fraud. Turns out Bertie had forged my signature on a credit application 2 weeks before asking for the hall pass. Was trying to get a $30,000 personal loan. Bank flagged it because the signature looked off. Her attorney actually put his head in his hands. But Bertie? She doubled down. Started crying about how I'd emotionally abandoned her. How I'd forced her to seek affection elsewhere. How the stress of our loveless marriage made her make mistakes. Patricia pulled out her phone and played a voicemail. Bertie's voice, clear as day, from January. Hey babe, running late from the gym. Love you. Can you start dinner? I'm thinking that salmon I like. This was 3 days after you filed your initial divorce consultation, Patricia said. Hardly sounds like a woman in emotional distress. The meeting ended with Bertie screaming that I was a F-king sociopath and her attorney suggesting they reassess their position. Outside the courthouse, Bertie tried to approach me. Reed stepped between us. You need to leave, he said. I want to talk to my husband. Ex-husband, I corrected. And no. You destroyed my life over one mistake. I actually laughed. No, Bertie. You destroyed your life over 6 months of mistakes. I just refuse to be collateral damage. She went nuclear again. Facebook, Instagram, even LinkedIn. Posted this whole manifesto about surviving emotional abuse. How I was a narcissist who'd gaslit her into thinking she was wrong for exploring her sexuality. It backfired spectacularly. Her coworker commented, "Didn't you literally brag about planning to divorce him after your boyfriend committed?" Her college roommate, "Girl, you texted me saying you found a way to have your cake and eat it too." Her own sister Tessa, "Please stop. You're embarrassing yourself." The pharmaceutical investigation escalated. DEA got involved. Bertie tried to throw Nolan under the bus, saying he pressured her. Nolan's attorney provided texts where Bertie offered the samples unprompted, even saying, "Don't worry, I do this all the time for special friends." She was fired. Not just suspended. Fired. With a note in her file that makes her unhireable in pharmaceutical sales. 7 years of career progression gone. Meanwhile, I'm doing fine. Better than fine. My boss pulled me aside last week. "Everything okay at home? Heard you're going through some stuff." "Getting divorced. It's handled." "Need any time off?" "No. Work keeps me focused." He nodded. "The Artemis contract came through. We need a lead on the propulsion redesign. Interested?" "A $3 million contract I'd be heading." "Absolutely." "Good. Also, between us? Nobody here liked Bertie. She hit on Martinez at the Christmas party. Martinez is 25 and engaged. Stay classy, Bertie." The house feels different now. Emptier but cleaner. Like I'd been living with background noise I didn't notice until it stopped. I bought new furniture. Better furniture. Stuff I actually liked instead of whatever Bertie insisted matched our aesthetic. Found something interesting while cleaning last week. A journal Bertie kept. Hidden in her jewelry box that she'd forgotten. Dating back 2 years. Entry from our 5th anniversary. Brody's so predictable. Flowers. Dinner. Same restaurant. Same wine. He'd be lost without me telling him what to do. Entry from last November. Nolan makes me feel alive. Brody makes me feel secure. Why can't I have both? Entry from January. Talk to a lawyer today. If I play this right, I can keep the house and get alimony. Brody won't see it coming. He trusts too easily. Trusts too easily. She mistook my patience for weakness. My silence for stupidity. My love for desperation. I gave the journal to Patricia. She actually whistled. This is beautiful. Premeditation in her own handwriting. Bertie's attorney filed a motion to delay proceedings. Claimed his client was too emotionally distressed to continue. Patricia filed a counter motion. Expedited divorce due to documented infidelity and attempted fraud. Judge sided with us. Trial set for next month. Bertie texted me from her sister's phone last night. "I loved you. Despite everything, I really did love you." I didn't respond. What's the point? She loved me the way people love safety nets. Only valuable when you're falling. But here's the thing about safety nets, they're only there if you maintain them. If you respect them. If you don't cut the ropes while planning your next jump. She cut the ropes. Now she's learning what it feels like to hit the ground. Update 2. Trial happened. It was even shorter than expected. Bertie showed up looking like she'd aged 5 years. Bargain bin attorney in tow. She kept trying to make eye contact with me. I spent the entire time reviewing propulsion specifications on my tablet. The judge, a woman in her 60s who looked like she'd seen every type of BS, reviewed the evidence. "Mrs. Henderson," she began. "Bertie kept my last name. Funny how she wanted to ditch me but keep the name. You're seeking equitable distribution of assets, including the property at 42 Riverside Drive?" "Yes, Your Honor. I contributed to that home for 7 years. According to these records, the property was inherited by Mr. Henderson 3 years before marriage. He's provided documentation showing all mortgage payments, taxes, and maintenance came from his separate accounts. Can you provide evidence of any financial contribution?" I made it a home. I decorated. That's not a financial contribution, Mrs. Henderson." Patricia stood. "Your Honor, we have receipts showing Mr. Henderson paid for all decorating expenses as well." The judge looked tired. "What about these fraud allegations?" Bertie's attorney jumped up. "Those are unsubstantiated." Patricia pulled out the loan application. Exhibit 17. Mrs. Henderson's attempt to secure a $30,000 loan using Mr. Henderson's forged signature. The bank's fraud department has provided an affidavit. "That was a misunderstanding." Bertie actually stood up. "I thought we had agreed." "You thought you had agreed to forge your husband's signature?" Silence. The best part came when they discussed the pharmaceutical investigation. "Mrs. Henderson, you're currently under federal investigation for distribution of controlled substances?" "That's being resolved." "Resolved how?" "I'm cooperating with authorities." She was trying to flip on her former company, claiming they encouraged samples for client relationship building. The company had already provided documentation showing she'd violated written policy. They were countersuing her for damage to their reputation. The judge made her ruling in less than an hour. "House, mine. Investments, split based on premarital values, I got 90%. Debts, separate, she kept her $47,000 in student loans. Alimony, denied. Her request for emotional damages, denied. My counterclaim for fraud, accepted. She owes me $15,000 for financial damages and legal fees." Bertie collapsed. Actually fell to her knees in the courtroom. Her attorney helped her to a chair while she hyperventilated. "This isn't fair," she kept saying. "He planned this. He set me up." The judge looked at her over her glasses. "Mrs. Henderson, the only person who set you up was yourself. You documented your infidelity. You attempted fraud. You distributed controlled substances. Mr. Henderson simply refused to be a victim. Case closed." Outside the courthouse, Bertie was waiting. "You won," she said. Mascara running. Hands shaking. "Happy?" "No," I told her honestly. "Winning implies this was a game. This was just consequence. I lost everything." "You threw everything away. There's a difference." "For what? For Nolan? He won't even return my calls." "Not for Nolan. For the idea that you deserved better than me. How'd that work out?" She started sobbing. "I need help. I need money. Tessa's threatening to kick me out. I can't get a job anywhere. Everyone knows about the DEA investigation. Not my problem." 7 years, Brody. Doesn't that mean anything? It meant everything. Past tense. Reed pulled up in his car. As I got in, Bertie grabbed the door. "I'll KL myself," she said. "If you leave me with nothing, I'll KL myself." Reed actually laughed. "No, you won't. You're too narcissistic for that. You'll reinvent yourself as a victim, find some other guy to believe your BS, and repeat the cycle. But Brody won't be around to watch." We drove off. She stood there until we turned the corner. That was 3 weeks ago. She's tried everything since. Showing up at my work, security removed her. Calling my parents, they blocked her. Even created fake social media accounts to message me. The messages are pathetic. Oscillating between "I'm sorry" and "you're a monster." Between "I love you" and "I hope you die alone." Between "please help me" and "I'll ruin you." Meanwhile, Nolan got married last weekend. Some 22-year-old influencer with daddy's money. Bertie found out through Instagram. Sent me 17 voice messages crying about it. How he'd used her. How he'd manipulated her. How she'd thrown away her marriage for someone who didn't care. The lack of self-awareness is almost impressive. But here's the real update. I met someone. Her name's Cordelia. She's an aviation safety inspector. Met her at a conference about the Artemis project. She was grilling me about failure points in the propulsion system. Most people glaze over when I talk about work. She asked follow-up questions that actually made me reconsider our approach. We've had 3 dinners. She knows about the divorce. Told her the whole story on our second dinner. Her response? So you're telling me you can spot red flags, establish boundaries, and follow through on consequences? That's hot. I laughed for the first time in months. Really laughed. We're taking it slow. Very slow. I'm not rushing into anything. But it's nice to have conversations with someone who doesn't treat honesty like a character flaw. Who doesn't see my career as a bank account. Who actually understands what I do for a living. Bertie found out somehow. The messages got worse. Already replacing me? She's uglier than me. You were probably cheating too. I hope she gives you herpes. Patricia sent her a cease and desist. The messages stopped for 2 days, then came back from a different number. You destroyed me for nothing. I made one mistake and you ended my life. You're evil. You're a sociopath. You feel nothing. She's wrong about that last part. I feel plenty. Relief. Freedom. Peace. Just nothing for her. Final update. This is my last update. After this, I'm done talking about Bertie. She's taken up enough mental real estate. The DEA investigation concluded. Bertie got lucky, no criminal charges. But she's permanently barred from pharmaceutical sales and has to pay a $50,000 fine. Don't know how she'll manage that on a retail salary. She tried declaring bankruptcy to avoid paying me the $15,000 from the fraud judgment. Patricia shut that down. Fraud judgments aren't dischargeable in bankruptcy. She'll be paying me $200 a month for the next 6 years. Tessa kicked her out last month. Apparently, Bertie tried to seduce Tessa's husband. Claimed she was confused and vulnerable and he misinterpreted her climbing into his bed NKD at 2 a.m. while Tessa was on a business trip. Last I heard, she was living in a studio apartment on the wrong side of town. Working 2 retail jobs. Still posting motivational quotes on Instagram about rising from the ashes and knowing your worth. Someone sent me her dating profile last week. She's 32 but listed her age as 27. Describes herself as an entrepreneur between ventures and a survivor of narcissistic abuse. Looking for a real man who can handle a strong, independent woman. The photos are all from before the divorce. When she still had good clothes and professional hair. When she still had hope that her plan would work. Reed's wife ran into her at a grocery store. Said Bertie looked exhausted. Recognized her but pretended not to. Bertie was buying generic everything, counting change at the register. The girl who used to brag about only shopping at Whole Foods now clips coupons for ramen. Part of me, a very small part, feels something like pity. Not for who she is now, but for who she could have been. She was smart. Beautiful. Had a great career. We had a good life. Not perfect, but good. But she wanted more. Not more together, just more. More excitement. More options. More everything. And she was willing to destroy what we'd built to get it. The Nolan thing still makes me laugh. She threw away a marriage for a guy who forgot her name the moment things got complicated. She's stalking his wife on social media while he's living in a $3 million house, completely unbothered by the nuclear bomb he helped detonate in Bertie's life. She sent me one last letter. An actual paper letter. 10 pages, handwritten. I'll spare you most of it, but the highlight reel includes how I misunderstood her request for a hall pass. How she was testing my love and I failed. How her affair with Nolan was my fault for not being emotionally available. How I'm probably gay because I didn't fight for her. How she's going to write a book about surviving emotional abuse and I'll be sorry when she's on Oprah. I gave it to Patricia. She added it to the harassment file. If Bertie contacts me again, we'll pursue a restraining order. But honestly, I don't think she will. She's finally understanding that I'm gone. Really gone. Not coming back, not checking in, not available for manipulation or guilt or any of her BS. Cordelia and I are officially together now. It's different than with Bertie. Quieter. Steadier. She doesn't need me to complete her, she's already whole. We complement each other instead of consuming each other. She read all these posts. Her take? You gave Bertie more chances than she deserved. Most men would have left the moment they found those texts. She's probably right. But I needed to do it my way. Methodically. Completely. No loose ends. No what ifs. No room for Bertie to ever claim I acted impulsively or emotionally. The house feels like home again. Bought new everything. New bed. New couch. New life. The Artemis project is ahead of schedule. Got a raise and a bonus. Thinking about buying a boat. Always wanted one, but Bertie said they were wastes of money. Lot of things were wastes of money when it wasn't hers to waste. My parents finally told me what they really thought of Bertie. Mom, she talked down to you constantly. Little comments. Little corrections. Death by 1,000 cuts. Dad, she looked at you like an ATM. Never saw love in her eyes, just calculation. Even my grandmother, before she died, apparently told my mother, that girl's going to hurt him. She's got hungry eyes. They all saw it. I saw it too, eventually. Just took me longer to admit it. Someone asked me if I regret how I handled things. If I was too harsh. Too calculated. Too cold. No. Bertie made her choices. I made mine. She chose to lie, cheat, manipulate, and destroy. I chose to protect myself, document everything, and leave her to face the consequences of her actions. She wanted to F around. She found out. The opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. And I've reached perfect indifference. I don't check her social media. Don't ask about her. Don't care who she's dating or where she's working or how she's surviving. She's not my problem anymore. Never should have been my problem to begin with. But here's what I learned. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. When they tell you they want to F someone else, they've already checked out. When they ask for a hall pass, they're asking you to be complicit in your own humiliation. Don't be. Don't argue. Don't beg. Don't try to win them back. Just protect yourself, document everything, and get out clean. Love isn't supposed to be a game where someone's always looking for a better player. It's supposed to be two people on the same team. Bertie wanted to switch teams mid-game. So I forfeited, took my equipment, and found a better league. She's still standing on an empty field, wondering why no one wants to play with her. Not my field. Not my problem. Not anymore. To everyone going through something similar, you're not crazy. You're not overreacting. Trust your gut. Protect yourself. And remember, someone who loves you wouldn't risk losing you. Bertie risked it. Bertie lost. End of story. Edit, since people keep asking. Yes, this is real. I have the court documents to prove it. No, I don't feel bad. Actions have consequences. Yes, Cordelia knows about these posts. She thinks they're therapeutic. No, I won't take Bertie back. Not if she was the last woman on earth. Yes, I'm happy now. Happier than I've been in years. To the people saying I'm cold or calculating, you're right. I am. It saved my house, my money, and my sanity. I'll take cold and calculating over warm and stupid any day. To the men in similar situations, document everything. Lawyer up immediately. Don't telegraph your moves. Strike when ready, not when angry. To the women saying Bertie deserved another chance, she had 7 years of chances. She used them all. And to Bertie, if you're reading this, your hall pass was denied. Your access has been revoked. Your subscription has been cancelled. Find another beta to manipulate. This one's out of stock. Permanently. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you really like our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.